Hey everyone, Josh here. So today we had a decent amount of interesting news, and I thought that I would make a video kind of covering some of the stuff that I thought was important today and my opinions on it, what I kind of thought about the whole deal. So we found out that Betsy DeVos was accepted, or I guess you can say pushed through as the Secretary of Education. Now, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this pick. This pick by Donald Trump for Secretary of Education. I thought I'd just kind of give my opinion on it. First and foremost, when I first heard about this and I kind of looked into this person, I thought from my initial understanding of kind of all the cabinet members that were being nominated that this was probably the weakest one by far that Trump had chosen. My main reason for it is that I had kind of seen this person after looking into her history as more of a lobbyist, kind of like a political figure than someone who's really prone with education. However, that doesn't necessarily demean the things that she has done for education. I think it's important for people to understand kind of what she's done and what kind of things she's pushed. So I have pulled up here. I'm just on Wikipedia because it's the most basic way to kind of figure out what someone's done. This is Betsy DeVos. Kind of just talks about her, yada yada, what she does now. I think two of the main things that she's known for is the Alliance for School Choice. It's a organization that she was basically she's a chair member on. It's kind of the thing that she's known for most. Basically, what the Alliance for School Choice is it allows. It's essentially a large reason that you have charter schools. Schools that you can send students to other than just the public high schools, things that you can send them to specialize in a certain field, kind of like almost like nonprofit, private funded charter schools. And this is something, of course, I think has been very good for education. It's a really good thing to have. It's a very good thing I think that she's a part of. And secondly, it would be school vouchers. Essentially, all school vouchers are is that it's kind of like getting a scholarship for one of those, like maybe a private school. I think in most cases, it's kind of revolving around certain states. You have people in certain states and certain cities where maybe their small town doesn't have access to like higher education, like in high schools. And if you are a parent, you want to send your student to maybe a private Christian or private Jewish or whatever high school. They don't have those, and the school vouchers essentially give parents federally funded kind of scholarships. The vouchers usually for a year, and it lets a student maybe that's part of a poorer family in one of those rural towns to be able to send their kids to one of those to a private school, or maybe even to a public school that of their choosing. In a different town that they could maybe have better access to, better education. So overall, I mean, I don't think I think talking about this pick being like super detrimental for education is a little bit kind of going over the edge. The reason I think that is because one person, your Secretary of Education, this person isn't going to be 100% responsible for everything that goes on in the public school system. I feel like a lot of the times with public office, people kind of super over exaggerate the power that these people actually have. This person will have a lot of say and a lot of choices and pushing stuff through for education. She's kind of going to be the forefront of public education in our time here for the next 4 years or however long she's going to be there. But she doesn't have the ability to single-handedly destroy the education system. I think people, first of all, misinterpret that as her motive and what she's really capable of doing. And I don't think honestly a lot of people have really looked into her history too much to see what she's already done for education. Just even as a influencer, maybe not a direct education forefront already. She does do a lot for education. I think the things that she has done have been beneficial and really good for education. So I don't see some sort of a precedent telling me that Betsy DeVos is going to be horrible for education. So I think that's kind of the first thing. Secondly, with her, again, I think she's one of the weaker candidates in terms of qualifications. I would have much rather seen somebody who's a huge advocate for education, who's done a lot more as just kind of being an influencer through politics and monetary gain, stuff like that, being a lobbyist for education. So I think that's part of my how I kind of feel about that. I also think that her performance um, in the Senate interviews was pretty poor. I think that was also kind of a bad thing. That's a part of the reason I thought that she was, you know, she's not someone who is a big part of actual education. That's the main thing. So she's definitely, I think, not the best candidate that could have been chosen. However, I think people are kind of overlooking it now. I think we see what she does. If she does an awful job, then I'm I'm conservative, but I'm not down to the idea of getting this person, of course, out of that position if they prove to be not qualified or doing a poor job. I'm not someone who thinks, oh, I should just have this person here because Trump put her there. I don't believe in that, and I don't think anyone should. I think you should form your opinions on your own. So that's kind of where I am with her. Secondly, I think another part of big news was that Senator Elizabeth Warren was cut off by the Senate. Basically, the Senate silenced her from speaking for the rest of Jeff Sessions' Senate review to get him nominated as the Attorney General. This part, I think, is extremely blown out of proportion. I think the media is taking this and trying to basically demonize the right and say that the right somehow... I think CNN's a good example. This is part of the reason that I like looking at both sources. I think the way that CNN phrases things is just insane. Warren reprimanded for criticism of Sessions, things like that. Now, I think there's a big difference.
Of our colleague from Alabama, as warned by the chair. Senator Warren.
I think it's very important to understand.
As warned by the chair.
Let me pull this back here just to read.
The Majority Leader.
The senators impugn the motives and
It's very important to understand the difference between impugning the motives and taking a swipe or criticizing a senator. So the reason that this is such a big deal is not necessarily. I think another part of it is after I've watched the some of the things that Elizabeth Warren has said to CNN and said to different people who interviewed her about it, as if she's just telling the truth. Elizabeth Warren, she just wants to read this document and she wants to just tell the truth. It's important to understand that Coretta Scott King, the person who wrote this letter, this is an extremely opinionated letter. This letter is an opinion, a written opinion as to why this person believes that Senator Sessions should not have been nominated for a judicial position in 1986. The extremely important part to understand about this is that this is an opinion. This is not fact. And Elizabeth Warren tried to push this off as fact, and it is not fact. Saying that Mr. Sessions has used the awesome power of his office to chill the free exercise of the vote by black citizens in the district he now seeks to serve as federal judge. That statement is extremely opinionated because you have an argument with people who see this statement and they look at the chill the free exercise of the vote by black citizens, that portion. If you read back to the instances, I've read this whole letter. If you read back to the instances where this person is claiming maybe that it's proof that he's using the office to chill the free exercise of the vote by black citizens, that's extremely debatable. She might be talking about something in regards to just say voter IDs or stricter voter registration before voting and looks at that as infringing upon the rights of minorities. So it's extremely important. You can't phrase it as fact. You, by saying that to the Senate as part of a debate and as part of an argument, you are assuming a motive of Jeff Sessions. That's what they mean when they say impugning motives. This statement saying and trying to relay this statement off as fact is you're setting a precedent, basically saying that Sessions has a motive to chill the free exercise of the vote by black citizens, and you're essentially implying that Jeff Sessions has a motive to disenfranchise black people. That's what you're essentially saying by presenting this statement and presenting an opinionated letter by somebody and from 1986 and presenting it as a factual argument in a Senate debate. You can't do that. You just can't do that. It's different than just criticizing someone or calling them a name. You're basically impugning a motive onto somebody and trying to say that with this, you're basically trying to use an opinion as fact and saying that, implying a motive. You don't get to do that. That's not how that works. I mean, you can, but that's part of the rule, the Senate rule. Rule 9 that basically says you can't impugn something on another senator or a colleague as part of your argument. If you do that, you get warned, which she was, of course, warned several times that she can't do that, and continued. That is when the majority leader decided to go ahead and it wasn't like that he just said, oh, okay, now you can't talk. There was a vote, of course. The vote was approved, majority approved. And then, of course, the Democrats tried to come back and do like a counter vote to get her speaking restored, and that, of course, was not done by a larger margin. So I think this is really important to understand, and I think it really shows the bias in the media. The first thing you see when you go to CNN Politics, the very first article, is nevertheless she persisted, which is what the majority leader told her the second time around when he decided when they had the vote to restrict her privilege to speak in the Senate floor. That's what he told her is a reason that he warned her about that rule, told her to not impugn Senator Sessions anymore with those allegations or those motives. And then she continued to do so. She persisted to do so, and she was removed from speaking. So I think, of course, the way that they phrase things is a lot different than maybe you say on Fox, where they don't of course, go that hardcore about it. They just, well, this actually changed since the last time I saw it. But she was formally silenced at an Attorney General nominee debate, and I think it was completely justified. Of course, there's a little bit of bias with it. I would assume Republicans in the past have done the same thing, but of course, now that we're in a majority, we have the right to do that. I still, regardless, think that the way that she presented that information and the way that the media kind of portrays it without reading through the whole facts and seeing exactly what that statement implies and kind of why Republicans saw it as able to remove her speech privileges there for that. You can't make accusations and imply motives like that to people when you're trying to confirm them. It's just something you can't do in a formal debate. So that's kind of my reel on it for today. I think those are the two kind of most important things that happened. I think it'll be interesting to see if when Sessions gets confirmed, we'll probably have another video. All right, well, that's it for me today. I do appreciate you tuning in. Feel free to check out the next video. Go ahead and leave a like. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more. Leave a juicy comment if you have any arguments for me, and I'll go ahead and make sure I respond to those in the next video. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.